we're back. What is going on, you guys? Welcome back to the channel. I took a few screenshots and I'm just gonna go through some of the questions. Okay, so oh my god, I've gotten this question so many times. What do I do for a living? How am I young and can afford these bikes? Honestly, guys, I'm a model, well, technically not full-time, like part-time, but there is no modeling full-time in a sense. I've been doing it since I was like 14, so 9 years, and just like a few years ago started paying off. So the point is, keep doing what you think is like good, and just like stay consistent with whatever, a job or something that can make you money, and like one day hopefully it pays off, you know what I mean? Yeah, that's like my main kind of source of income, is just through modeling. But again, as I said, I've been doing it for many years, so it didn't come easy, and I definitely worked really hard. And in that industry, in the start, I worked for years pretty much like for free, just to build up a portfolio and all of that. And I'm not gonna get into like the details, but like it's a lot of work that ended up paying off years later. So let's see, what else do I have? Another related question, which is, does your injuries affect your modeling? Yes, I actually had a photo shoot this past weekend that I had to cancel because of my injuries. So that wasn't just a good thing, it was just bad timing. Could have made some money. But yeah, so injuries definitely, like right now, definitely affected modeling currently until I heal up. I don't know how long the scars will last till they actually like fully heal up. But gladly, most of them aren't like in kind of like the front and the face, because that's the most important. Like my back, my elbows kind of like from the back side, and then my knees. Obviously those will affect, but the most important is kind of like the front torso, your front arms, and like your face. That's not affected, so obviously it's gonna affect a little bit, especially right now, but like in the long run, hopefully not. And so hopefully like when I heal up, the scars won't be as bad. That's a good question. Are you considering some lessons? Definitely. So like, I'm not a guy that's like I'm a little reckless. I'll give you guys that. You guys can talk shit pretty much about me being reckless. This is my adrenaline rush. This is my hobby. I don't drink, smoke, do any of that stuff. I just like riding. When you're on fast bikes, it's hard to not go fast sometimes. And I know the people that have fast bikes replied with pretty much being more compassionate and all that. And the people that ride little bikes don't understand, because they're not in the same situation. If you're all about riding and it's your passion and you have fast bikes, sometimes you're just gonna go fast. Like it's hard not to. At the end of the day, first gear in these bikes is like way over the speed limit. Like just first gear, if I redline, I'm gonna be at like 95 or even like close to 100 miles an hour. It's really hard not to speed on those bikes, especially when it's kind of like open roads, and you know, like it's just pure adrenaline at that point. So yeah, are you considering some lessons? Definitely considering lessons. Like I've always considered them. I've always wanted to go to the track. I have a lot of people that go to the track, and my plan actually, because I had all the OEM fairings for the V4, I was planning on using the OEM fairings for the track and keep the carbon for like everything else. So I definitely wanted to track. That's also why I have like pretty much a full suit and boots and everything. Also, I have riding shoes and I have actual riding boots, which are like slightly different. Don't really wear it because of comfort, and definitely though recommend wearing it when you're riding aggressively. That's a lesson I learned. If I'm riding with a lot of people, or if it's like a longer ride, I'll definitely be more cautious about wearing my gear. So yeah, lessons definitely in the future. Like I want to do some, again, it's a motorcycle channel, and the track day would be amazing, you know. Like my only fear is that I'm gonna get too addicted to the track and I'm gonna hate street riding. That's honestly like one of the main things why I haven't been to the track. What else do we have? So yeah, what will you do about the Ducati? Another question. I actually sold it. The bike is gone. I sold it for $7,000. Spent $28,000 to get that bike, so I lost like $21,000, but at least I got some of it back. I kind of like rather get some of it back than spend even more money trying to fix it, and then it has more problems and all that. So it's just It's not what I'm into. I like riding, and I understand that a rebuild series would have been cool. It's just not what I do. Maybe one day in the future, we'll see. Question on point 4. You don't have full coverage on the V4? I wish I did, guys. That's why I put it in that. It's a lesson learned. So I always recommend full coverage. The reason I didn't have full coverage on the V4 is because I just got it and I was shopping around from different. I called my insurance, which is Geico, and I told them to pretty much just add it to my insurance plan or whatever, but add it only as liability until I shop around and figure out like the best kind of like rates, so I can save on insurance, because insurance isn't cheap. So, and I actually found a great deal with AAA, and I was just pretty much waiting to get the title for the V4. Not the title, the registration for the V4, which I got the same day I crashed, because when I get the registration, I wanted to go register the bike. So I wanted to register the bike and get insurance at the same time, kind of like, that's why pretty much like I was delaying it. I was just waiting for the registration, and then I was gonna go get full coverage. Unluckily, I crashed the exact same day I received the info, like the paperwork for the V4. So lesson learned. I could have made most of my money back. I could have easily got back $25,000 for that bike, if not more. It's a really expensive bike. But yeah, I lost all that money trying to save a few $100s from insurance. So definitely get full coverage. I've been riding for, again, years, like a little more than 4 years, something like that. Tens of thousands of miles, and I was just pretty much like too confident. I was like, nothing's gonna happen. I'm gonna be like careful until I get full coverage and all that. But adrenaline kicks in, and you don't have control over that all the time. So didn't have full coverage. Lesson learned the hard way. Which bikes are there in your garage goals list? It was the H2. That's my #1 dream bike. Always will be. This bike is absolutely insane. I love that bike. And then the second and third position, it was a tie. My 2 other dream bikes are the R1M. Well, technically it's just the R1, but like, why not get the R1M? That bike looks much better. And of course the V4. I love the looks of the V4, especially the 2020, because it has that V4R look. Not a fan of the V4R because of the dry clutch, actually. It's too clanky and noisy for me. I want to hear the exhaust, not just the dry clutch, you know what I mean? Some people like it, I personally don't. Generally V4s don't sound the best in my opinion unless you're idling. When you're just stopped, it sounds really good. It's like blah 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 blah. It sounds aggressive, but when you're going on the freeway, they don't sound the best. But yeah, so my dream garage is actually H2, R1M, V4, and probably an S1000 too, because S1000s make the best dailies. They're super comfortable, super easy to ride, smooth power band, smooth quick shifter. Everything about them is like super smooth, easy to ride, and they have heated grips, cruise control. They're just like really amazing dailies. So that's probably like one of my other dream bikes. So yeah, those 4 bikes would be kind of like the ultimate dream garage, but mainly the 3, H2, R1M, and V4. Again, I do love pretty much all bikes, but those are kind of like the top of my list. If I could only get 4, it would be these 4. Will you get another V4 in the future? Would love to see a V4 in the family again. Yes, I definitely plan on getting another V4 in the future. Might get an S1000, but definitely like majorly leaning to the V4 side, just because I barely got to enjoy this one, guys. So definitely leaning to getting another V4 in the future. What do you think did you do wrong in the time right before the crash? Was it too much front brake? I already talked about this technically in the previous video, because I'm gonna make this into 2 videos because it's really long. And it's not front brake, as I mentioned. It was pretty much the traction setting was too high. I was applying, I'm gradual with my front brake. I don't give too much front brake. I'm more aggressive with my rear braking. So because the bike, when it fishtails, I can control that. And the bike fishtailed pretty much, and all of a sudden caught traction really aggressively, and it just like flipped and launched me forward. That's what happens. Definitely wasn't too much front brake. I've been in worse situations where I had to apply like really hard braking and all that, and I know that I shouldn't apply too much front brakes or I'm gonna flip the bike. Plus the bike does have ABS and all of that, so it wasn't too much front brake. Question: how good do you think the helmet was in terms of protecting your head? I'm thinking of getting a Scorpion EXO ST1400. That's the helmet that I had, and saw that that was your helmet in your other video. Really good question, because like honestly, that helmet was amazing. I'm definitely buying another Scorpion. I'm looking at the Rurocs as well. Those are cool. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen them on Instagram. They're like crazy looking helmets. I had the carbon edition of the ST1400. I plan on getting the new Carbon Air from Scorpion, which is kind of like their new updated version. But yeah, the helmet was amazing. I love that helmet. Like the helmet was banged up from all sides, if you guys saw in like one of the videos I posted, and it did really well. Amazing helmet, definitely recommend Scorpion. It's probably gonna be my next helmet. What is your next bike? Again, probably the V4, maybe an S1000. We'll see. I'm gonna recover. I'm gonna take a while to decide, and then we'll see at that point. What bike from your collection you would have replaced with if you had a chance to do just before the accident? Ooh, this is a very good question. I would say that I actually would replace the V4 with the R1M. I love the R1M, I'm sorry, but the main reason is because the V4 is more expensive than the R1M. So that way, if I did crash the R1M, I would have lost less money. And the V4 was like a very new bike that I didn't get to enjoy that much. I've had the R1M for almost a year now. And I rode that bike a lot. I love the bike, don't get me wrong, but just because from a financial standpoint, the V4 is way more expensive than the R1M, especially because my V4 was full carbon, so I would have rather crashed the R1M than the V4, so I could enjoy the V4 as well and not lose as much money. What is the top speed of your H2? 230, 240. I haven't tried because it's semi-impossible to try safely going that fast. You need a long stretch of clean, straight roads. Maybe one day I'll try. Yeah, I don't know. Like it's a very risky thing to do, going 230, 240, top speeding the H2, but it's definitely something I'm interested in, so I don't know, maybe we'll do it one day. Definitely been over 200 on that thing. That thing gets past 200 really easily. Yeah, never really tried the top speed run. Are you going to buy a BMW M1000RR or S1000RR? So I actually almost wanted to get an M1000R instead of the V4, but I saw a bunch of videos and honestly, it's not worth the extra money over S1000RR. I'd rather get an S1000RR M package over an M1000RR. I just can't justify the price difference, you know, it's not that big of a difference. I know like they have lighter engine components and all of that, which makes it rev faster, stuff like that. But the winglets, like, you know, it's little extra stuff that I don't think are worth the extra price. It's cool because it's rare, but as just it's kind of like the Superleggera. I personally don't think a Superleggera is worth $120,000. It's just ridiculous. I'd rather get like a V4R. Well, I don't like the dry clutch. I'd rather get just a V4S and just put on all these aftermarket parts myself. That's how I see it. I know some might disagree, but that's just me. Ooh, this is another good question. What was my first bike and how long you've been riding? My first bike was actually a Ninja 300. So a lot of people that assume I just jumped on big bikes and that I have no experience, I actually started on a Ninja 300. Never knew how to ride a motorcycle at that point. So I learned on the Ninja 300. That bike, I put on like 400 miles on it, and then I got Ninja 600, 636. That bike lasted a few years with me, and then I upgraded very much to the H2 R1M and had an 1199, which I sold. The 1199 was a great bike, but it just wasn't for me. Yeah, I've had technically 6 bikes. Started on Ninja 300, Ninja ZX6R 636, H2 R1M 1199 V4. And oh yeah, I've been riding since I turned 19, since I was 19, so I'm 23 now, so 4 years technically. But in the first few years of riding, I used to commute on my bike, ride like over 100 miles a day, like 5, 6 times a week. So I rode a lot, like a lot. And yeah, currently I ride mainly for fun, but I still ride like 3 times a week. So, well, not anymore, but I used to. So yeah, that is, and I think that's it. I posted my last video for educational purposes. I hope some people learned and could avoid my mistakes. Thank you guys so much for watching. Thank you for the love, support, and the people that actually are nice and care. Ride as safe as you possibly could, and have fun. That's what life is about, right? Peace out, guys.